Royals baseball from beautiful, sunny Surprise, Arizona. We are just 9 days away from opening day, and tonight it'll be the Royals and the San Francisco Giants. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the ballpark with Greg Sudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. The Royals have just 6 games to go here in the desert. And when spring training began, this was supposed to be a very young team, a rebuilding team. It is a much different looking team now as we're in the final days before the real games begin.
It is. Happy spring, partner. First day of spring. How about it, folks? But I'm going to tell you what, you got to love Dayton Moore's competitiveness. He wants to win. Okay, he saw all the young roster guys that were coming up and were potentially going to be on this team, but then he said, you know what, I need to sprinkle in some veterans because Major League Baseball is very difficult to perform over the long haul. You need veteran guys, and all these guys that he's picked up, so far, so good. They're looking excellent.
Yeah, and it really looked like going into the season that the Royals' biggest challenge was going to be scoring runs. Now, it is just Arizona, and yet the Royals are really piling up runs lately.
Oh, I'm telling you what, the ball is flying out of the ballpark. Some of these guys are in mid-season form, and that's one of them right there. Mike Moustakas, he's ready to go. Soler, really? This guy is tagging the ball, and they are going a long way. And how about even newcomers? Swindell, man, that's exactly what you want to do. Open some eyes, let them know what the future looks like. But I'll tell you what, Rhino, this season is going to be a lot better than some people thought.
Ian Kennedy is hoping for a better season this year. The fans are here tonight. It'll be Kennedy on the mound for the Royals. The lineups and the first pitch are coming up next. And we have a nice crowd gathered here tonight in Surprise. It's the Royals and the San Francisco Giants. And the Giants are trying to bounce back. They had 98 losses last year. They had big problems on offense, the fewest home runs in the major leagues, the second fewest runs in the National League. So they went out and they added Evan Longoria. They added Austin Jackson. They added Andrew McCutchen, who's not in the lineup tonight, hoping to score more runs. But many of their regulars are in there tonight against Ian Kennedy. And like the Giants, Ian Kennedy is looking forward to a more productive 2018.
Yeah, and I'm not a betting man, but if I was, you can almost bet that Kennedy's going to come back and be rock solid this year. He's got a lot of pride. He's an excellent pitcher over the long haul. He's not happy with his ERA or his innings pitched last year. Of course, he showed me a lot by pitching through that injury, although he'll tell you he probably should have taken a stint or two on the disabled list. But this guy's going to add a lot.
Here are the Royals defensively, and this could be the players we see on opening day. However, maybe not exactly this defensive alignment. John Jay actually is in left field tonight. Alex Gordon will get a chance to play center field, so we expect that to be reversed once the regular season begins. And Mike Moustakas, who doesn't look like he's shaking off any rust at all on offense, is at third base tonight.
Oh man, Ryan, his front foot is timed perfect when it's coming down. His hands are coming through the ball. He looks like he's in mid-season form.
Ian Kennedy was off to a great start last year. After 5 starts, his ERA was 2.3. Then he injured his hamstring in early May and was just never the same after that. And the pitch that hamstring hurt the most was his changeup. So he was basically a 2-pitch pitcher. And there he is with the changeup grip. He's got that pitch back for 2018 and hoping to get back to where he was for the Royals in his first season in KC. And this is Steve Duggar taking down and away ball 1.
Cal Eldred before the game was telling me that when you're a starting pitcher and you lose one of your pitches, you're in trouble. And Kennedy, though, to tell you how good his fastball is and how he loves to challenge hitters, got through it okay, even though he knows he can be better. The adductor part of the hamstring was a different injury for him. Kind of wrapped around towards his groin, and he said it was a difficult adjustment. He's had hamstring injuries in the past, but that one last year, he's happy to say goodbye to it.
1-2 on Duggar. And when you're talking about a good pitcher, it's almost just a natural reflex to say, well, what kind of an arm does he have? But really, a lot of the strength comes from the legs. You
no
lose
question.
your legs, and there's really not a whole lot a pitcher can do. That breaking ball had good bite to it, and Kennedy begins the night with a strikeout.
Tremendous bite. And it's a 3-pitch pitch mix for him. He can mix an occasional slider in, but he's mainly fastball, curveball, changeup, and predominantly fastballs. You know, hitters love fastballs. They look for it, and he gives it to him, but it's just above the belt. When he's up above that belt just a tad, he has a lot of success, especially in the big ballpark at the K.
Brandon Belt lines it up the right field line, but he hooked it foul.
If you want to
Brandon Belt and Ian Kennedy could have a really interesting discussion, because both of them were off to great starts, and injuries just really derailed their seasons. For Belt, it was a concussion. A little bit outside, 1-1.
If I had a choice between the 2 injuries, I think I'd take the hamstring.
Well, for Belt, it was the 3rd time in 4 years he's been out with a concussion. 2-1.
Wow. You know, it's interesting. Some people say baseball, not the contact sport football is, or even soccer for that matter. But you know, there's more contact than you think.
Whack to center field, and Alex Gordon out there makes a sliding play.
Routine play for Alex. Belt looked good. Hit 2 balls hard. This one here, he thought he had a knock on it. And Alex, good break, comes in. He loves center field. He'll tell you his spot's in left, and he's one of the best left fielders in the American League in his era. He's got plenty of awards to show for it, but he loves playing center. And there's no line to your left or to your right if he is in left field, because you know what? He's restricted a little bit. Center field, you're wide open. And Ryan, you know, because you were a center fielder, and so you know the feeling of having priority over everybody.
Evan Longoria singles to Alex in center field, so he's on with 2 out. Well, you have to be really good, obviously, to be a major league center fielder, but you bounced around all over the field. It is also the easiest place to play in the outfield.
I agree, and that's because the spin. Any ball that's squared up it goes to center field, is squared up, and it has true backspin on it. There's not a lot of hooking, although sometimes it'll hook to left and right. Mainly just the ones that have topspin that sink in front of you, but mainly it's a true ball coming to you. Corners, it hooks a little. Sometimes a lot.
0-1 on Hunter Pence. Talked about the players that the Giants added. Longoria, Jackson, McCutchen, and they're hoping that guys like Hunter Pence and Brandon Crawford bounce back this year.
They got to have, especially this guy, Hunter Pence. I was able to talk to him before the game, you know, and watching him get ready, his pregame routine, he was up in the clubhouse there, you know, he was talking while he was getting ready. He's a baseball player that would have been successful in the old days. He's kind of a throwback player. Hustles, has a lot of respect, but he said he's healthy. He feels great, and that's what you want. He's played through a few injuries himself the last few seasons.
Ball skips away from Salvi, and Longoria moves up on a wild pitch.
Right position, just didn't get his hands up. It hit the heel of the glove. Sometimes you can't control the bounce.
Two and two. Hunter Pence will be playing a new position. He has played most of his career in right with a little bit of center, but the Giants are going to ask him to play left field this year with the additions of Jackson and McCutchen.
So the difference will be the ball will hook towards the line. It hooks off a right-hander's bat sometimes, and then off a lefty's bat when they slice it. Good pitch.
And a good inning. Kennedy strikes out 2. John Jay will lead off against Derek Holland when we come back. Piling up the runs in spring training, especially over the last week. And Ned Yost has hinted that he likes John Jay leading off and with Merrifield batting second. And he's got a nice combination of lefty-righty, which every manager likes these days. And the Royals will be facing Derek Holland, who struggled with the White Sox last year. He's really fought injuries. and pitched in 29 games, started 26, and his ERA was over 6. Against the Royals last year, his ERA was almost 7.5.
Yeah, he had a difficult time last year. He didn't have a lot on his fastball. After seeing that first pitch right there, looks like he's got some pretty good action this year. 90, low 90s. He knows how to pitch. He's a lefty.
John Jay has a .440 on base percentage in the spring training games. He's always been a high on base percentage guy, which makes him a good fit for the leadoff spot, which was wide open going into spring training.
Watch out. Yep. You know, Jay has the ability to get on base. That's the main criteria for a leadoff hitter. You'd like to have a guy who can see some pitches, especially early in the game, let his other teammates see what the pitcher's got. But Holland, he's fastball, big curve, changeup. Mainly changeups to the right-handed batters.
Off speed and struck him out.
Now, he had a little break on that. I don't know if that was a slider or it might have been a changeup. Didn't have a big break like his hook looks. He's got a big curve. He's been around a lot of years with the Texas Rangers.
Sliders in for a strike to Whit Merrifield. He's been impressive. .436 with a couple of home runs. And hitting for a lot of power, which is a carryover from last year. He goes down to get that one, and it's going to drop into left center field between Duggar and Pence. And Merrifield's on with one out.
Hit it off the end of the bat, but you know, if you're a center fielder, you can't tell. So your first step's going to either freeze you or move you back, but whenever it's hit like that, you know, you got a nice, easy single.
Holland has always had a very good move to first base. And I'm sure Whit is well aware of that.
I like it. I like Woodley hitting second. It's good to see Moose hitting up in the order this year.
And Whit is running. A fastball is in for a strike, and Whit is in there. He led the American League last year with 34 stolen bases.
That's right. Good takeaway. First pitch, too. You got to like that. And Holland, normally he'll slide step, but he picked up his foot and gave Merrifield a little extra time to get a better jump. Take it. Be interesting to see if Whitley can repeat his feet on the bases like he had last year. Phenomenal. He wouldn't tell you, but I know he's proud as can be to say he led the league in stolen bases. That's bragging rights. He's a very humble young man. So we can say it for him.
One and two.
Moose is so quiet with his body. He's not jumping around. He's real quiet, and that's a good term for a hitter who's locked in. Quiet means you're seeing the ball well. You're not jumping. Jumping's not good. And he, you know, this situation here with one out, you might see Moose try to get a pitch up and shoot it to left field. 2 strikes, but he's a complete hitter now. Saw him take a couple of swings to left field the other day up at Mesa.
That is foul.
That was one there. He tried to find a hole there. But check out his power, Rhino. He's loading up, going back just a little bit, and then he's coming forward just like we saw him last year when he had a career year. Okay, another breaking ball from the left-hander. Hasn't had any trouble against lefties or righties this spring.
Two and two. Well, it was 2 years ago when Mike Moustakas made the adjustment when the league started over shifting against him. That started in 2014, and that season included a trip to the minor leagues. But in 2015, this was just a sign of things to come. Remember, his first home run was to the opposite field. He had never homered to the opposite field. And now they still have their second baseman Blanco out in shallow right field, but now the left side of the infield has a little more respect for Moustakas' ability to hit the ball over there.
Exactly. And you know what? When you make that drastic a change and adjustment in your swing, and you've proved it throughout the whole season, that gives you confidence that you're a complete hitter now.
Jammed, and he drops it into center field. Witt got a good read, and he is in there standing. And now the ball gets away from Hundley, and Moustakas moves up to second base.
A lot of people didn't believe we'd be hearing Moose calls this year, but Moose coming back is a beautiful signing for the ball club. Now, Merrifield was able to score easily. Why? Because he reads it. He knew it was a jam shot. He didn't barrel that one either. So Whitley hit it off the end. Moose got it in the handle, nowhere in the middle, and they know it. That's the reason why Merrifield took off on contact. If that throws on the other side of the plate, it might have been a little closer. But Moose did a nice job, had a good plate appearance there, a good at bat. He's fought it. He earned that RBI.
Salvi jumps on the first pitch, and Parker ventures into foul territory, and he overran it.
I thought he had that routine. Okay, check him out. He's making some adjustments here, and whoops, just couldn't. Looked like he overran it. There's a slight breeze, nothing like we've seen the last few games, though. I mean, sometimes here, the wind blows hard, but today's a slight breeze. Just misread it. And that could hurt him. Holland wanted that out. Salvi will take you deep in a heartbeat. Swing looks good as well.
Hit a mile to left field. And foul. He cleared the seats in that left field corner and bounced it up on the concourse. He has hit 5 home runs this spring. Salvi has 12 hits, 9 are extra base hits. That guy was just walking into the stadium and was greeted by an usher and then a baseball.
How about that? Look at a souvenir. Wasn't expecting it.
Right over the inside.
Holland helping himself. He picked up his right fielder, Parker. You know, Rhino, that's what the game's all about anyway. The game is difficult at times, especially with the conditions like they can be in spring training. But when you miss a ball and one of your teammates picks you up, first thing they'll say to each other in that dugout is the right fielder Parker will go, "Hey, thanks for picking me up there. You got the strikeout, and then we got 2 outs here. Get out of it." Could have had a potential long inning.
Lucas Duda's had a good spring. One and one.
Talking with Royals' new hitting coach, Terry Bradshaw. First time I've really had a chance to sit down with him. He's so busy. hitting coach always has hitters in the cage. There's 9, 10, 12 guys that are always wanting to hit. And he was telling me about Duda, how he gets through the ball so well. And he's got great work habits, and they expect big things from him. I don't think they expected to see him in this kind of shape and swinging as good a bat in the spring. But he's surprising a lot of people. He looks good.
Two and two. He hit 30 home runs last year.
And the Royals are in good shape with the two new coaches in the main spot. Kyle Eldred and Terry Bradshaw. You've gotten to know them, and you've had some time with them too. Class act guys, top of the line, great hires, passionate men that are all for the guys, all for the players. Kyle Eldred, talking with him about pitching, it's really been fun. We're getting to learn a lot more. And Terry Bradshaw, he's a very patient guy. Knows a lot about hitting. Players love him.
Well, the Royals made 5 promotions within the coaching staff during the offseason, and all came from the organization. Cal Eldred, Vance Wilson, Mitch Meyer, Terry Bradshaw, all already in the Royals system. And then Dale Swaim, you could call it a promotion, going from hitting coach to bench coach.
Fantastic. There's Vance Wilson, knowledgeable, ex-big leaguer. Of course, all these guys have all played.
Holland ends up striking out the side, and he gives up a run with 1 out. Whit Merrifield singled, stole second base, and Mike Moustakas got him to the plate. You by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Mike Moustakas drove in Whit Merrifield in the bottom of the first inning. 1-0 Royals. Ian Kennedy struck out 2 in his first inning. You'll get Nick Hundley, Austin Jackson, and Jarrett Parker in the second. Hundley's numbers last year as a backup to Buster Posey.
It's pretty nice numbers there for backup. 9 homers. He's got some pop.
And a shot into center field. He got a fastball down the middle. So Hundley's on to begin the second inning.
And when you're a hitter looking for the fastball, you hit a ball like this when it's where you want it. That's exactly center cut. And you're looking dead red That's the best place to hit it. Right back up the middle where it came from. Short, compact. You're able to use good mechanics when you swing at a good pitch like that. That's what hitters are looking for.
And now the veteran, Austin Jackson. You and I were visiting with Cal Eldred, and he brought up something about spin rate. And that's one of the statistics or way of measuring a pitcher these days. But he was talking about Ian Kennedy, and Ian Kennedy has an exceptional spin rate, which Cal said can be good or bad. So being that this is 2018, I said, well, what's the bad side of that? He said, if it's right down the middle, that's not a good thing, because there's already a lot of spin on the baseball. You're creating a lot of backspin as it is. Spin rate is good when Kennedy can climb the ladder. He's got that late life on his fastball. Spin rate is good when it's down around the knees, because it's got that, that last jump to it. But spin rate isn't just an across-the-board positive statistic.
No, I would agree, but also one of the reasons why Kennedy's been so good with his fastball and has had so much success striking guys out with that pitch is because of that. He's got a little late life to it, and hitters see it come out. It looks straight, but at the end it has a little hop to it. Almost looks like a riser. But you're right. You got to be able to command it just like any other pitcher. That's perfect. That's where he wants it. That's on the outer half. Look pretty good.
When you start thinking about strikeout pitchers, Hud, Ian Kennedy is not a guy who's going to be at the top of your list. But remember, 2 years ago, he had more strikeouts than anybody in the major leagues with his four-seam fastball. Fouled away by Jackson. So, of course, nowadays it's not just how many strikeouts you have, but with what pitches. And of all the pitchers in baseball, and this includes Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, 2 years ago, Ian Kennedy had the most strikeouts with his four-seam fastball. And if you agree with me, a lot of those were called third strikes. I mean, fastballs that just jumped on the hitter. Maybe they were looking for something else. And he surprised a lot of hitters with his fastball.
Yeah, just like that one there. He was looking for it, but it looked like the way he swung at it, he wasn't. It's because it jumped up on him. And I agree with you and also Cal Eldred about the spin rate. The spin rate's important, but that's why he's so good. Let's take a look at Kennedy's 3 strikeouts tonight. Okay, there's the big curve. That's this when he's ahead of you. He'll throw that. There's the heater. He's going to keep it on the outer half. That was up and in. It wasn't in the middle of the plate. And if he makes contact with that, his bat would pay a heavy price. It would break.
Jared Parker with 1 on 1 out. And the thing about those 2 fastball strikeouts that we just saw, the reaction of the hitter would tell you, oh, that must have been 95, 96, 97, right? It's 91, 92, but it has that effect on a hitter. I mean, they're late on it.
Yeah, and you know, that's what this game revolves around. The pitcher and the hitter, the classic confrontation, but you got to trick him. Deception, it's huge. And the spin rate, which you're talking about, Rhino, has everything to do with it, with that fastball, because you're right. It looked to Austin Jackson right there, that ball, it looked like that was 97 miles an hour right by him. He barely swung. It was an emergency hack. It jumped at him. The ball jumped. It has a little bit of hop to it.
Shallow left field, and John Jay will take charge and make the play on Jared Parker.
Tell you what, Ned Yost gets 3 guys to step up out of that rotation out of the 5. And the way it camp looks so far, and this is an offensive heavy spring training down here in Arizona, the way they all 5 look, it's looking pretty good. But 3 guys consistently pitch and they figure out the bullpen, watch out. They'll have plenty of offense to score the runs to complement that. The Royals will be right in it. 3 guys, they step up.
We'll be chatting with Ned next inning.
Good.
Spend an inning with us.
Fantastic.
And here is the veteran, Andres Blanco. who to a lot of us is always going to be a kid, coming up to the big leagues in 2004 with the Royals. He had just turned 20. He was the youngest position player in Royals history. And he was called up in 2004.
Good to see him still in the game. He's got a high number, 88. Sometimes it can be deceptive, but if you have a high number, that usually tells you your chances of making the team aren't real good. That's the first thing I look for whenever I join a team. What was the number? Well, yeah, I wonder what number. Now, some teams, they would call you in the offseason, but that only happened to me one time. I was a free agent. The Phillies had to pay for me. And so the equipment man called me and said, hey, Hud, what number would you like to have? And I said, hey, what was the number Pete Rose had? Whatever that was. 14. I said, is it available? He goes, yeah. And I said, oh, that's my number. That's what I want. But it doesn't always work that way. I got traded to the Baltimore Orioles in the offseason, and I went to camp and I saw number 1 hanging in my locker, and I got so excited. I'm going to make this ball club. Got fired right at the end.
Was there a 7 in front of that one?
No.
Was it folded as it was hanging in your locker? Wow, number 1.
Yeah, I thought, I was so pumped. I was thinking, man, I'm going to make this ball club. Hang with him.
One hop to Duda, and that's that. Kennedy gets around the leadoff single. It'll be Cuthbert, Soler, and Gordon coming up. Gauges the speed of the pitcher and then goes back down to the end of the handle. So there you go, kids. When your dad or your coach tells you to choke up, even the big leaguers do it sometimes.
Yeah, but don't choke up that much. but maybe he's doing what Joey Votto does in Cincinnati. He does that a lot. It's interesting. But when you choke up a little bit, a couple inches, it gives you better leverage. You get better balance on the bat.
Fastball is outside. Derek Holland struck out the side in the first inning, but the Royals got a run. Mike Moustakas drove in Whit Merrifield. Cuthbert is the designated hitter tonight, and that might be where he gets the majority of his at-bats this year. I mentioned we'll talk to Ned Yost next inning. Dayton Moore is also going to join us in the booth in the 5th inning. And one of the things that came out of this offseason was the Royals really wanted to get at least 500 at-bats. for Chesler Cuthbert, and he whacks that one into right center field. Jorge Soler, who's coming up, and Jorge Bonifacio. And Cuthbert still has a good chance of getting those at bats, but he's going to have to bounce around a little bit.
That's right, kind of like he did last year, but he's happy to be here. Beautiful swing, well balanced. Pitch was on the inner half, kept his hands inside of the baseball, shot it on the line to right. Good swing.
Royals still expect him to play at third base, play some first base, which he's done here in spring, and as DH, where he is tonight. Jorge Soler has hit 6 home runs. Upstairs with a slider.
Terry Bradshaw was telling me that the weight that Soler lost probably helped him more on the defensive side in base running, but it also helped him offensively because of the confidence involved. When you lose that much weight, you come to camp, you got a little revenge on your face. You got a little chip on your shoulder, and we all know that he wasn't happy with his season last year, his first with the Royals, and it's working. He's confident. He carries himself in such a different manner than he did last spring a year ago. You can tell just by the presence, the body language we talk about up here all the time.
1-1. Dayton Moore made a really interesting comparison between Soler and Lorenzo Cain and their first years in the Royals organization. They both came from playoff caliber teams, and they were playing. Cubs won the World Series. Brewers made it to the play, or they were playing very well at the time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. They come to the Royals, and there's just no spot the first year. So you go from playing on a first division team to going to the minor leagues, and that's not what you sign up for. That's not what you expect when you get traded from one organization to another. But Lorenzo Cain ended up having a really good year at AAA in his first season with the Royals, and Jorge Soler had his struggles at the big league level, but he put up big numbers at AAA last year. And will Soler follow in Cain's footsteps with the chapters that follow? We'll find out, but it was a very interesting comparison.
Neat.
Very high to the right side of the infield.
Watch out.
And Blanco, he had an idea where it was. He just didn't know exactly where it was, and then made a late adjustment to go out into shallow center field to get Soler.
Just missed it. Good swing. Here we go. I got it, I think. Yeah, wind pushed it back. Soler just missed that. Good swing.
It's also that time of night where the baseball blends in with the sky, so you may have lost it for a second or two. 1-on-1 out for Alex Gordon. Alex had a rough year, we all know that, but he made an adjustment with his stance at the end of last year, and that really paid off. It has not carried over into the spring games so far. He is 4 for 43.
He's spending a lot of time with Terry Bradshaw in the cage in the morning early. And I got to spend just a few minutes with him, with Terry Bradshaw, talking about Alex today. He said he needs to get into a good position to hit, to get his hands there, to get him working. When he swings out of the zone a little bit, it takes him out of his position. So just if he could get him to stand up a little bit taller and to continue to think middle away, get a few base hits to left field, get that confidence going. But he believes that Alex is going to have a good season this year.
Strawberries and brownies or strawberries and bananas?
Slider down and away, strikes him out, and Holland has 4 in an inning and 2/3. Well, we hope to see you for the 50th opening day in Royals history. Thursday, March 29th. It's the Royals and the White Sox Tickets are still available, including limited lower, upper, and outfield locations. To learn more, visit Royals.com/OD.
Special day, no question about it. Opening day at any ballpark anywhere is a holiday, in my opinion.
Slider is in for a strike to Alcides Escobar.
Well, you know, just watching Holland pitch, and I've seen him throw a lot in most of his career, he is looking good. He's looking as good as I've seen him in a long time. He's not only is he in good shape, but he's mixing his pitches. He's pitching. He used to be a thrower.
Hit right to Duggar in center field. He will make the play. One hit, one left. We'll chat with Ned Yost when we come back. 1-0 Royals. And as promised, we're going to visit with Ned Yost, who is sitting just outside, or inside the Royals dugout, I beg your pardon. There he is. And how you feeling, Ned?
Good.
Okay. Just checking. I think you're supposed to still be in a wheelchair right now or something like that, aren't you?
I think I'm supposed to be about out of the wheelchair about now, but just slightly out of it. And, you know, feel good. I feel better, you know, early in the morning than I do later at night. But, you know, I've been doing good.
Well, we're glad you're doing well. And Hud and I in the first couple innings have just been talking about this roster, and you and I spent a lot of time at FanFest talking about development and young players getting experience and a lot of at-bats. Did you see any of this coming? Did you see the possibility of adding so many veterans as we have this spring?
Yeah, I mean, you always, you know, Dayton, you know, always is constantly thinking about how to make this team better. So, I mean, he's gonna. We knew going into spring training that, you know, that some guys, the market would come back to us. We'd be able to, you know, make some upgrades. We've got an owner that's every bit as competitive as Dayton and I are, and you know, wants to put together the best team that he can for our fans in Kansas City. So yeah, you know, going in, you knew that the possibility of adding some veteran guys would be quite possible.
Still 1-2 on Josh Rutledge, and you really, I mean, Dayton didn't just go out and get players that can help you, but you've got two-way players too. We were talking about this team both offensively and defensively.
Yep.
You can elaborate on that if you want to.
I mean, yeah, the answer to that is yes. I mean,
you know, it's spring training for me too, Ned.
Okay, Ryan. All right, I'll pick you up on that. But you know, I like the fact that you know we got Lucas Duda, who, you know, given his 450 at bats, he's going to hit you 30 home runs, and he's been he's been very, very good at first base for us. So, we're pleased that we got him. Of course, Moose, is how much fun it is to have him back. John Jay will give you a heck of an at-bat every time he steps up into that box. We call it a professional at-bat, and that's exactly what he brings. And he's going to hit somewhere between 285 and 300. That's his track record, as a major league performer. It just, the guys that we've brought in here have just been tremendous, guys that have experience and understand the game. And, when we started, spring training, we were just so right-handed heavy. I think the only left-handed bat we had in our lineup was Gordy. And, now we've got a real nice balance with Moose and with Duda and with John Jay. And you just know it's a nice balance in our lineup. And as you can tell, from the beginning of spring on, we've been doing a really, really nice job of scoring runs. So, I don't think that the offense, after losing, all the home runs that we lost last year with Haas and with Moss and, Moose, at the beginning not having him. But, I think we're going to, get a lot of that production back with these bats that we've signed.
Ned, looking at your team out there right now, this is an outstanding ball club. You got all-stars, you got veterans out there, and watching Alex Gordon play center field, that's pretty special. He likes playing center. Are you going to put him out there more often?
Yeah, I think we are, Hud. Yeah, I kind of equate Gordy. You don't think him as your prototypical center fielder. You think about guys that have tremendous speed and guys that can roam gap to gap like Lorenzo Cain did. But what Gordy does, I kind of look at Gordy as a Jim Edmonds type, who's a tremendous center fielder, even into his 40s. He just, he has that knack to know where the ball is going. He gets great jumps. He gets great reads, and he can track balls down. He's smart. He knows where to play guys. You just don't win 4 Gold Gloves, by showing up to the park. It's a lot of work, and I think he can handle center fielder quite nicely. And we've already seen it over the course of last year and some this year. He makes fantastic plays out there.
I want to talk about the bullpen with you. You made a comment early in spring training, and I'll bet some people thought that you were being sarcastic. I don't think you were, but someone said, well, what do you think the bullpen is? How's that going to look? And you said, I have no idea. That was outside of Kelvin Herrera, maybe Brandon Maurer, that was kind of an empty canvas for you, wasn't it?
It was, and I wasn't being facetious, or trying to be funny. We just didn't really have an idea. And, we're starting to formulate a better idea now. I think that the roles that, are going to be defined, but it's going to take, take most of April here, because we got so many new names and so many new guys. And, the power arms that we've got in the bullpen are really, really interesting, starting with the 2 Rule 5 guys, and Maurer we know can bring it up there. And so, we're still, we had a meeting today that lasted about an hour and a half, and the majority of the time was spent on the bullpen, and who likes what guy, and how does it fit. And we still, I don't think, have it all figured out, but we still have a week to figure some stuff out, and I don't think any way we go is going to be wrong.
The new acquisition of Jason Grimm, that young man's a world champion, Ned.
Yeah, he's been on a world championship team, which that experience is invaluable, and watching him throw his side sessions. We haven't seen him in a game. I think we see him in a game Thursday. But he's got really, really good stuff. Really, really good command of the fastball, which is paramount to begin with. You're not going to be a productive reliever if you can't command your fastball. But what's been impressive to me so far too is the quality of the depth of his breaking ball. So I think he's going to be a really, really nice addition for our bullpen.
That's Justin Grimm. Sorry, I said Jason.
It's all right. I know the last name. I know who you're talking about.
Thanks, Ned. It's spring training for me too.
Yeah, all right.
2 on and nobody out for Brandon Belt. Well, let's talk about the guy on the mound right here. And I brought this up in the first inning. He was as good as you could hope for him to be his first 5 or 6 starts. And he admitted that he just never really responded to that hamstring injury and was basically a 2-pitch pitcher last year. Did you feel like you know, middle toward the end of the season that, I mean, he had kind of whittled himself down to just being a two-pitch pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, you could see it. It was pretty obvious at that point. You know, and you're right. He just never really bounced back from that. And you're right again in the first part, the first 5 or 6 games. I mean, was he so good, and we just couldn't score runs for him. I remember, you know, the games were 1-0 or 2-1, and he was just pitching great, and we couldn't get any wins for him. But you know, he's in great shape now. He's had a great spring. We're really excited to, you know, see him go about his year.
And let me add another guy to that list. Nate Carnes was really kind of coming into his own. I remember he had pitched a game in Minnesota, and then he had I think it was a forearm thing at the time, you know, but he's probably going to miss 1 or 2 starts and no big deal. And then all of a sudden he's got the serious surgery. How's he look to you?
Great. I mean, right back to where he was last year, you know, when he was, you know, throwing really, really well. So, you know, we're excited about him too. He's healthy, he's strong, his stuff is really, really good. He's commanding the ball well, and you know, I think he's gonna put together a really, really good year too.
It's just a little bit
Are
outside.
those ball strikes? You guys get them.
They look good up
Yeah,
here.
come on, they look good.
I mean, it is a spring training game.
I'm gonna have to
Ned,
start screaming at this
Ned,
dude over
I
here.
think
I mean,
you
they look-
should.
If you do, take the headset with you out there.
Yeah. Uncle.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on,
Really?
let's go.
I agree with you, Ned.
That is Nick Lentz,
Gosh.
Yeah.
the home plate
This spring
umpire.
training, it's not the playoffs.
Yeah, let's go. Open it up. You know, they talk about all this, you know, delay a game and pace a game, and that's what's slowing the game up is umpires don't call strikes when they're close to being strikes.
And
Just bang them. Let's
He's
go.
exactly right,
Yeah.
Rhino. If they called more strikes, the game would move along. Hitters would swing the bat up there.
No
Right.
doubt. No doubt.
Hey, let me, along those lines, Ned, let me ask you about spring training, because, I mean, this is a hitter's heaven, Arizona. I mean, everything is just made for the hitter. So what are the things that you notice that maybe we don't, or the fan doesn't notice when you're evaluating a pitcher in conditions like this?
Just you know, it's tough, Ryan. You know, because you know it's a little bit less humid. The ball doesn't break as much here as it does, say, in Kansas City. So it's hard to evaluate really. You know, total depth of a breaking ball or action on a changeup, if you will. But I mean, you can see some of it, but it's not like it will be when you get some humidity behind you and you get a little, you know, you get some moisture on your fingers and it makes the ball dance a little bit more. So you know, most of the time, you know, guys like Kennedy, guys like Junis, guys like you know, Hamill, like Duffy, we just want them to get their work in. So
You got a play down there?
yeah, Moosey's got it. I just didn't want it on top of my head here. I'm not moving as fast as I used to in my younger days. But you know, really, we don't look at performance a whole lot down here in terms of that. You know, we just want them to get their work in. Like tonight, the most important thing for us is to get Kennedy up to somewhere between the, you know, the 75 and 85 pitch mark. So. You know, that's the goal for some of these guys. But then you get guys like, you know, like the 2 Rule 5 guys and you know, Broadway and Lennox and Lovelady and all of these guys, Timmy Hill and these guys that you're trying to evaluate. I mean, you got to evaluate how do they fit in? How are they going to be able to get big league hitters out? I think the thing that you look at is velocity on fastball more than anything else. But can you command your pitches? Can you throw strikes? And if you can throw strikes and you can command your fastball, you know that they're going to have a chance. So, you know, that's what we look for here more than anything else is commanding the fastball. What kind of, what kind of action do you have on your fastball? Is it 91? Is it 96? Is it 97? You know, what does your breaking ball look like? Even though we know, you know, when we get back east a little bit, it's going to even be better. So.
Hey, Ned, 9 days before opening day, what's the goal for you and the team?
Just get out of here healthy. I mean, realistically, I mean, you know, we've had a good spring, I think. You know, we've been lucky that we haven't suffered any really major, you know, injuries. You know, Jesse Hahn, who I was really excited to see be a part of our pitching staff. You know, he's been battling that sore elbow, but he starts a throwing progression again tomorrow. So, got our fingers crossed. You know, you know, he's going to work out of that, but that remains to be seen. But just, you know, just get out of here healthy more than anything else, you know. I think we got to get Gordy going, you know. We got to get Gordy going offensively. And, you know, I talked to him today about, you know, just going to the minor leagues and maybe just getting 12 at-bats a day, you know, until he starts to feel a little better. And he was like, you know what, I feel really good right now. Let me get through tonight and let's get through tomorrow. And if I still stink, then I'll go to the minor leagues and, you know, get a bunch of at-bats until I feel better. But, you know, outside of that, I've been really pleased with Soler, the way that he's, you know, we've given him a lot of bats. That, you know, it took him a while to get his timing, but he's got it now and has looked great. And Paulo's looked good. John Jay's been outstanding. Moose has jumped on the bandwagon really quick, and he's got his tempo and timing. He looks great at the plate for me right now. You know, the rest of the guys all look good. And Gordy snags that one and we're out of the inning. So
Perfect timing.
yeah.
Ned, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, guys. You guys have a good night.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ned.
it. Giants are scoreless in the top of the third inning. If Chesler ends up spending a lot of time this year as the Royals' designated hitter, the idle time in between at bats is something that he's really going to have to manage.
That'll be the hardest part. You know, you'd love to play both sides of the ball, but in the American League, if you're a DH, you hit once every 30 minutes, maybe. Sometimes it's more. I've counted 45 minutes to an hour sometimes, depending on the inning. How blessed are the Royals to have Mike Sweeney? The position he has is a perfect spot for him. He's full of encouragement. He's full of love, obviously. But, you know, his experience is invaluable, and then for him to be able to rub elbows with those players, beautiful hire. Of course, he's been here for a while, but he's fabulous.
John Jay struck out swinging against Eric Holland in the first inning. Holland has struck out 4 in the first 2 innings. Off speed, he's hitting 77 miles an hour and 1-2 on Jay.
That's a good off-speed pitch there. Anytime you can have that variation of speed between your heater and that pitch, that'll throw the timing off. Good yacker.
John Jay, Whit Merrifield, and Mike Moustakas are coming up. The Royals scored their run in the first on an RBI from Moustakas. Still 2-2.
That was a great conversation we had with Ned. I was happy to hear he sounds really confident with his guys, and he should. This team's coming. It's starting to come together. You know, we didn't even talk about Junis or Hamill looks good. You know, Duffy's might have the highest ERA of all of them, and he said he feels good. All the starters, knock on wood.
Full count. Well, we have Dayton Moore in the 5th inning, so whatever we didn't cover with Ned, Dayton certainly will answer those questions.
Fantastic.
Right to Duggar in center field. One down in the 3rd. Well, if you're too busy for 81 Royals home games, you can build your own 10-game ticket package with special discounts from single game pricing. Visit royals.com/10-pack for details. Merrifield single to left center field his first time up. Then he stole second base and then scored on a base hit from Moustakas.
That's where we are. 1-0. How about that? We don't see too many low-scoring games down here.
That's in deep center field. All the way back and up onto the grass. Another base hit. Another extra base hit for Whit Merrifield. That's his 3rd home run of spring. And that slugging percentage is getting up near 900. 2-0 Royals.
Whitley! He heard us talking about the low score. He says, you know what, fellas, I'm going to get me a pitch I can handle. Stayed inside, a breaking ball right over the middle of the plate. Excellent pass. Caught the back underside. Didn't have a lot of wind to help him. He supplied most of that pop over the 400-foot sign. Beauty.
Ya lo viste en el MVP.
You know, Holland's given up a few home runs in his career, and he's going to be the second one to know on this one. Most time they are the second. First one is the hitter. He knows he got it. Look at that beautiful swing. And Holland's like, come on, gosh, no, I had a good game going.
That ball might stay in the ballpark in San Francisco in April.
Yeah, pretty good chance.
But not in Surprise in late March.
Nope, and Holland hopes he's with the Giants in April. Come on, make a spot for him.
Home runs were a huge issue for him last year, pitching with the White Sox. He allowed 31 home runs in 130 innings. Against the Royals, he pitched 13 innings last year and gave up 4 home runs.
Yeah, you know, the Royals, whenever he towed the slab, they were pretty excited about him. But like I said, he had no velocity last year. And I remember he was up in the zone with everything.
That's the shortstop Rutledge over on the right side of the infield. 2 down. Holland won 16 games for the Rangers 7 years ago. And the Rangers thought, okay, we have a future ace in the making. So they signed him to a 5-year contract extension the next year. And he ended up only winning 31 games over the next 5 years. 31 wins over that 5-year contract with knee and shoulder problems. 0-1 on Salvi.
Well, you know, Bruce Bochy, he has Bumgarner, Cueto, Samardzija, Block, Stratton, a couple of other guys as his 5, but you know what? We'll see. Depends on what happens.
Salvi took a called 3rd strike against Holland in the 1st inning. 1-2.
Got a chance to talk with Bochy before the game. He said one of his coaches told me that he had a book out. I said, you got a book? He goes, yeah. I said, what's it called? He said, Bochy Ball. And I said, you don't want me to help advertise that, do you? And he goes, Hud, I don't think I'll sell too many books in Kansas City. I said, you know what? I said, you're right about that, especially if you got a chapter on Bumgarner in it. He says, yeah, I got a couple of chapters ahead.
Gosh, 12 years with the Giants beginning this year. I mean, he'd been there for a while. I knew that, but I mean, I still picture him in a San Diego Padres uniform.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies.
And they have to bounce back big time. The Giants lost 98 games last year and were 40 games out of first place. So they had a bad year. The Dodgers had an incredible year. Who would have predicted that when the season began, that the Dodgers would be 40 games better than the Giants?
So, you know, when that happens, you're gonna make some adjustments, and they did with their coaching staff. They replaced the pitching coach, bullpen coach, hitting coach. Made some changes. One of the new coaches is Alonzo Powell, your buddy, my buddy, world champion last year with the Houston Astros. Oh!
Salvi gets on top of one, and he hits a line drive home run up onto the grass. And the Royals have 2 home runs in the 3rd inning. It is 3-0 KC. And for Salvi, that is number 6.
And the 2 homers that I've seen from Salvi both had topspin on them. One off of Chris Young, and this one here off of Holland. And he stayed on top of the ball, man. I mean, that ball was elevated, and he crushed it. Solid contact. Royals with the power continuing. I mean, you know, you talked about the balance early in the game, and we asked Ned about his balance from left-handed, right-handed, left-handed. And the reason that you want a well-balanced offense is so there's not a lot of strategy in the American League. The only strategy there is at the end of the game when you're bringing bullpen guys in. So if you have left, right hitters, it messes up the opposing manager. When his strategy comes in, he's going to have to make more moves. Because they like to, you know, throw a left-hander against a left-hander, a righty against a righty. The law of averages allows those guys to get more outs. But there's power in the Royals lineup.
He did not go around. There's our buddy Todd Tishner from Garden City, Kansas. Played baseball at Garden City Community College, as did Dayton Moore, and both are in the school's athletic Hall of Fame. Brandon Belt, good defensive first baseman, makes the play on Duda, and that's the inning. But the Royals hit 2 more home runs with 1 out. Whit Merrifield goes to center field. Salvador Perez to left, and the Royals lead 3-0 at the end of 3. Last season, he had never hit more than 10 in any minor league season. And he just homered to straightaway center field. 2 batters later, Salvador Perez homered, and the Royals lead 3-0.
He's got his uniform dirty. He's pumped. He's a gamer.
Nick Hundley single to center field against Kennedy in the 2nd inning. Kennedy has struck out 4. He has allowed 3 hits and 1 walk in his first 3 innings. This will be pitch number 60. 0-2.
He's staying down in the zone for the most part. Like how he's executing all of his pitches. Just working on one. Talking with Cal before the game about Ian Kennedy. He said the thing that's impressed Cal Eldred about Ian Kennedy is he's still trying to find ways to get people out. He's still creating. He's still inventing. He's still working on getting outs. And that's what you do if you're a pitcher. But he's a veteran pitcher, been around a long time. He's what you call a gamer type pitcher. You know, a gamer, my definition of a gamer on defense is a player who will make the play at any cost. No matter what the score is, whatever it is, he makes the play. Kennedy, he's got game on the mound. He's tough, he's a bulldog, doesn't show a lot of expression, and he's fearless. He'll come right at you. He's got game in him. Cal Eldred's excited about working with not just him, but all of the starters and relievers. But his job, being new to the team, is to figure out what these guys use. What are their out pitches? What do they go to? And he'll find that out soon enough.
Escobar throws out Hundley, 1 down. Quality family time just got a lot easier with the Sunday Value Pack, which allows you to enjoy 12 Sunday games, including Family Fun Day Sunday activities, for just $108 per seat. If you're interested, visit royals.com/Sunday Pack for details. $108 per seat for 12 games. Over the outside to Austin Jackson. Kennedy struck him out in the 2nd inning. Talking about time flying by. I remember 8 years ago, Austin Jackson made his big league debut at Kauffman Stadium for the Tigers, got his first big league hit. And now look at him. Full beard, veteran.
And missing some hair on the top of his head. I saw him in the clubhouse today. Said hi to him.
He scored 100 runs his rookie year for the Tigers. That's always a benchmark for a leadoff type hitter, and he did it right away. Got his first big league hit against Robinson Tejeda on opening day at Kauffman Stadium. Who's that guy?
That's the ball man. Hey, did you see the other day Soler took out the ball man down the right field line?
No.
It was harmless. I was watching the ball sail in the stands, and Soler slid and took his legs out. He's good though.
Struck him out with a fastball again.
How about Kennedy? Looking sharp. He's taking this right over the top. Look at that. Excellent form, smooth delivery. Falls off a little bit to the first base side, but that's okay. Stayed on it. Down through it. Those are all pitchers' terms. Hit you here. Stay through the ball. Through it.
Strike one on Jarrett Parker. He flied out to Jay in left field in the second inning. He is playing in right field tonight, where the Giants expect Andrew McCutchen to play. 0-2. Kennedy is up over 70 pitches. Only really had trouble in one inning tonight. That was the third. He gave up a leadoff single, followed by a walk. And the Giants milked him for almost 30 pitches in that inning, but did not score. Moved him off the plate.
He was getting squeezed a little bit that inning. Squeezed is a term that players use when an umpire doesn't give them strikes that they believe are strikes.
Shattered his bat. And that's Kennedy's first 1-2-3 inning. Jorge Soler's coming up in the bottom of the fourth inning. He has 6 home runs this spring, including 2 over the weekend. He led off the second with a single. He is the Royals DH tonight. Royals have RBIs from Mike Moustakas on a single, and Whit Merrifield, who is homered, and Salvador Perez, who is also homered, all against Derek Holland. One and one on Cuthbert.
Have you ever seen Chesler without a big smile on his face?
No.
It's really special about him. And what Ned likes about him is his ability. He's a big league player. That's why he's going to make this ball club. Didn't have any options left. They don't want to lose him. He's got too much talent. Got some sock in his bat. Very athletic. Good throwing arm. Play some third, some first. Help out against some certain left-handers, probably as a DH. Although that's not going to be easy. We talked about that a little bit.
Pulled to third, and Longoria low, but it's dug out by Brandon Belts. One down in the bottom of the fourth. Royals baseball on Fox Sports Kansas City is brought to you by Surprise Arizona and Surprise Stadium, ranked the best spring training facility in the Cactus League by USA Today. And by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket played gives back to Missouri schools. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Jorge Soler takes a big rip. He flied out to center field in the second inning. One and one. You had mentioned Mike Sweeney an inning ago, who, as a Royals Hall of Famer, has a wealth of baseball knowledge to share with big leaguers and minor leaguers. Dayton Moore will use him quite a bit in the minor leagues, but his #1 goal is really as a leader, and to really try and reach out to players who might need a little emotional lift in the minor leagues. And, a lot of these guys are a long way from home and struggling to become professional baseball players. And Michael and I were talking about Jorge Soler the other day, and reminding me about the personal side of Jorge Soler. That's Blanco making the play to throw him out. Yeah, on one hand, you look about a gifted baseball player who's made millions and millions of dollars, and he's going to make millions and millions more. But he has been gone now from Cuba for about 8 or 9 years. He has not seen his mother. He has not seen his father. He has not seen his brother or his sister all that time. And so when a player, #1, has to deal with that, all the money in the world is going to help him get over that. But when the struggles come, I mean, who do you lean on? I mean, if I told you right now, Hud, I'll give you $50 million, but you got to go to Cuba and you don't get to take anybody with you. You can build the nicest house on the beaches of Havana. You're going to be a professional baseball player. You're going to win a World Series, but you can't take anybody with you.
Wow. Jennifer would be saying, yeah, go and send the money home. But no, I hear you. I know what you're saying.
When you put it in that context.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
That would be painful. Your family, that's what you have. It's all you got in life.
It's not, this isn't like your typical Latin American player at least gets to go home during the off season. You know, I mean, they might be homesick during the season, but when the season's over, they go back home, they get to see their family, they get to fill up on mom or grandma's cooking and get to hang out with their siblings, and then you hope that every year they come back to the United States, it gets a little bit easier. Not for Jorge Soler.
Wow, interesting you put it that way. It makes a lot of sense.
We were chatting with Ned Yost last inning, and he made it very clear that Royals have to get Alex Gordon going offensively. The Royals have 7 more games, including tonight and the exhibition game in Omaha next week before the regular season. And Ned was, if you weren't with us, Ned was suggesting that Alex will play some minor league games just to get more at bats. Yep. He is 0 for 2 tonight. The Royals have a 3-0 lead at the end of 4. We'll chat with Dayton Moore when we come back. Dayton Moore to the booth, who's going to spend an inning or so with us. We already had a chance, Dayton, to visit with Ned last inning. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked him at FanFest. We spent so much time talking about rebuilding and a lot of young players getting experience and the next wave of Royals history. And I remember you said something on stage. You said there are 150 free agents still on the market. Did you see this coming, what's happened here in spring training, or did you really just have to change the plan midstream when these guys were available?
Well, you're always looking for opportunities to improve your team, as you well know. And, you know, as I mentioned during that period of time, yes, there were several players still available, and not knowing how it would unfold, but the fact that, you know, all of our people, all of our scouts, our entire front office, our coaching staff is always coming up with creative ideas and ways to improve the team. We knew that we were very right-handed dominant, and we needed to get you know, a left-handed batter too to blend in with our lineup. I really didn't think Moose would be available, but at the end of the day, it happened, and he's back in Kansas City.
Back-to-back singles for the Giants, Blanco and Rutledge. 2 on, nobody out.
Dayton, this ball club looks dangerous. It looks, you look out there in that infield, you got all-stars, you got a guy who led the league in steals, you got Salvi, Moose, you got some pop in there. You look in the outfield, you see, I mean, this has turned out to be a nice ball club for you.
It has. We're very pleased with what we're able to present at this point in time. You know, having basically most of our interior infield returning, and you know, Lucas Duda is going to be a tremendous player for us. He's very much underrated at first base. We knew that. You know, when we acquired him, he's fit in very well in the clubhouse. He has instant respect from, you know, all the players, and he's handled himself very well. We'll look forward to watching him play as well.
Yeah, watching infield practice today for the first time, they were smooth as silk. It was really nice and fresh to see how crisp that infield session was. And Duda, you know, I think maybe Dayton, people remember the one throw that he made in the World Series, and they think that that's him. That's not him. He moves really well.
The funny thing about that, you know, when we were looking at first base options, once Eric Hosmer decided to play in San Diego, and you know, our scouts brought up Lucas Duda, our analytical department brought up Lucas Duda. When we met with the coaching staff, that was a player that everybody recommended. Not one person brought up that play because, you know, it's one play, one particular game, although a big game and a big play. But you know, we knew his left-handed bat in the presence of our lineup would be very important, and he's a rather large fixture over there at first base as well.
Big target.
30 home runs last year. With a pitching change here, I want to quickly talk about Ian Kennedy, and we spent some time with Ned talking about Kennedy and how basically he was a 2-pitch pitcher last year with the hamstring, and he's had a nice camp.
He has. He's had a really good camp. You know, he's thrown all of his pitches for strikes. His breaking ball is shown more depth. You saw some tonight that had some depth to it, and as we all know, in Arizona, it's hard to get the ball to change planes that rapidly. But you know, his four-seam fastball is as good as it's been. His changeup is very solid. You know, he's looking forward to a bounce-back year, of course, and he wasn't pleased with you know, the results last year. And as you mentioned, you know, he battled through some hamstring injuries, and I give him credit for wanting to persevere. It probably wasn't the best thing for him or the team to allow him to continue to try to grind through that. Sometimes you're better just to back off, let it heal, and get a fresh arm in there. But to his credit, he wanted to keep pitching.
Tell us about this guy, Tim Hill.
Yeah, real interesting pitcher. I mean, unique. A guy can pitch every single day, comes from a down-under angle, working on a slider. This is going to be a good matchup to see if he can take that slider that he's had in the bullpen to the game.
Oof. He's a slinger. I mean, and that doesn't look like he's just kind of thumbing up there. You know, he's 90, low 90s.
You know, he'll get it up about 93 at times as well. You know, we've seen some pretty good velocity from him. He hasn't pitched as much early in camp because Cal's had him on doing some extended side sessions, working on that slider.
Oh, look at that. Almost got it turned.
Rutledge is out at second base. So first and third with one out.
Almost a little bit too much air on the bounce. Too much air onto that big hop, or they would turn 2. That's what you want, though. You know, just get it out. There's a chopper there, though. Arizona, hard ground. Whitley turns a nice double play, Dayton.
Much improved. You know, 2 years ago, we really had our doubts whether he would be a consistent performer at second base. And to his credit, he's worked extremely hard. Mike Jerschley has been a strong presence, you know, in his development, working every single day, committed to all the little things you have to do to play second base. And you know, that's one position that requires a lot of repetitions. You have to do a lot of different things, transfer the ball, the feeds from different angles, throw from different angles. It's a difficult position to learn, and he's learned it at the major league level.
Coming into spring training, you didn't have John Jay, you didn't have Lucas Duda, and there was some talk about Witt with his versatility bouncing around quite a bit. Are the Royals a better team with him in one position, or is there still a chance he could be bouncing around?
You know, Ryan, I think the way we're set up right now, we're a better team with him at second base. You know, if we sustain an injury or you know, we miss a player for an extended period of time, you know, we may have to reevaluate that, and that all depends on, you know, what our second base options are. You know, Ryan Goins is making a strong push to be on this team. As you know, he's played a lot of middle infield and everyday second baseman for, you know, a really good Toronto Blue Jay team. We certainly know them well. We matched up with them in the playoffs, and but I think we're better off with Witt at second. And you know, when you talk to him and have, you know, he'll give you the you know, the attitude where he'll do whatever the team needs, and that's who Witt is. But I think he would prefer to be at one position as well.
2-1 on Evan Longoria with runner at second base and 2 down.
I like this
Stockis goes into foul ground.
Hill looks good.
We'll continue to visit with Dayton Moore. The Giants get a run in the top of the 5th inning. The Royals lead 3-1. Scored their 3 runs against Derek Holland, and now he gives way to Sam Dyson, and he'll pitch to Escobar, John Jay, and Whit Merrifield. What's the latest on Jesse Hahn?
You know, I spoke to Nick Kenny actually today for several minutes about Jesse Hahn. He's been cleared to start his throwing program. You know, we'll see. It's you know, unfortunate. Of course, we knew when we executed that deal that Jesse had you know, been, you know, on the DL a few times in his career, but you know, we felt with the medical that he would be fine. Didn't have any issues with his elbow, and as often occurs, you know, in spring training, especially early, you know, guys sometimes will break down. And, you know, I've always felt that if you can get your pitchers through the first 12 days of camp, it gives you a pretty good indication of what the next, you know, 6 weeks are going to be like as camp winds down. And if you have those injuries, usually it is early, and that's what happened to Jesse. You know, we've had injuries early with, you know, Joaquin Soria and other guys early on in camp, and so that 12-day, 2-week period is the period of time when you're kind of, you know, crossing your fingers, making sure everybody's okay.
That is home run number 3 for the Royals tonight. Alcides Escobar greets Sam Dyson. And now the Royals have a 4-1 lead in the 5th inning.
Another homer.
I hope that's a good thing, but you never know.
I was going to ask you, are you happy that Escobar just hit a homer?
Well, it was middle in, out over the plate, so.
All right, so, but last year, the first 3 months of the season, that's all he swung for.
I know.
Was the fence.
And we could see it coming, couldn't we?
Yeah. You know what?
I remember specifically, Dayton, sitting in this broadcast booth with Rex Hudler, and Hud came on the air and said, I just had a conversation with Esky, and Esky was just coming off a career best in home runs a year before. And didn't he say to you, just wait till you see what I do this?
I said,
and I remember listening to you, Hud, going, I don't think that's a good thing.
No. So I said, Esky, you're going to bunt this year. We're going to see you steal some bases. You know, that's what he can do. And he goes, no, I'm going deep. And when I heard that, I went, oh, no. That's not what we want.
You know, we spoke several times, you know, this offseason, a couple times in camp, and you know, Esky, we're really proud of him. I mean, he's going to make a strong effort of staying in the middle of the field, using the whole field, making sure that he shortens up with 2 strikes, work the count better. I mean, he's on a mission to do better, and you know, you got to give him credit for understanding that he needs to evolve a little bit and change his game and do more what the team needs him to do, because we've seen it many times. I mean, when he locks in, he's as good as player there is on the field. I mean, you know, we all know, you know, what he's done in the playoffs. I mean, he's one of the more celebrated players in Royals playoff history, as we know. So he can do it against the best competition that this game has to offer. It's just a matter of him staying focused and sticking to a plan and trusting, you know, what he needs to do as a player.
Yeah, so when you had the opportunity to re-sign Escobar, you know, you have Mondesi, you have a couple of other young middle infielders that look pretty good defensively anyway. Did you just go ahead and jump on that opportunity and
you know,
give
Hud,
Esky another shot?
Hud, you know, here's the deal. I mean, Mondesi is the most talented player we've had in this organization, you know, during our period of time here in Kansas City. But he hadn't been able to stay healthy. And we all know the stress that it puts on you to play shortstop at the major league level and to do it every single day. And we just didn't feel he was ready to play 162 games. And, you know, so we went and signed Esky back, and we're still hopeful that Mondi can contribute to this team. As I said, he's the most talented player we've had, and everything I'm telling you is what we've told him. And he's a big part of our future, but he's got to manage, you know, kind of the shall I say, just the grind of this game.
Let's get the bad news stuff out of the way. We already talked about Jesse Hahn, and Ned even said, gosh, I really wanted to see him pitch all spring training. How can you, as an organization, make sure that the first 80 games of the season are not a total loss for Jorge Bonifacio?
Well, you know, he'll be in extended spring.
Okay.
He'll get a chance to work out every day, play in those extended spring games. He can't play in any competition where there's paid attendance in the ballpark, so he can't participate in a major league spring training game. But you know, he'll get his work in, and it's an unfortunate situation, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating for us because we spend so much time educating our players on the importance of making sure that whatever they put into their body is approved by Nick Kinney and our medical team before they do anything. And you know, he took a product over the counter that he acquired at a pharmacy in the Dominican Republic, and you know, those guys know it's a no-no. So it's frustrating. But as we all know, Bonnie's an incredible person. He's extremely accountable. He's remorseful for what happened. He knows he's letting the team down. He's letting our fans down, and he's just going to have to learn from it and move forward.
Okay, so we were talking about Eske and trying to hit home runs, and it didn't really work out for him the first few months of the season. Here's a guy who did not look like he was trying to hit home runs, but he ended up hitting 19 last year.
You know, he's an incredible fastball hitter. You know, he's a very simple approach. He stays in the middle, and you know, he tries to take advantage of what the pitcher gives him. And you know, he's a player that we're as proud of as any player that we've had in this organization, and really pull for him. And you know, he's just a winner.
He'd be a good guy to speak to some minor league guys who are wondering, why am I moving along so slowly, or how come I'm performing at the minor league level? Why am I not getting a chance? I mean, what a great story.
There's no doubt about it, and yeah, I tell this story quite a bit when I'm speaking to our minor league players, and whether it be as a group or you know, one-on-one communication with them.
Well, I think he's got another one.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield has singled, and now he is homered for a second time. So make it 4 this spring training for Whit Merrifield.
He knew his boss was talking about it. Yeah. Way to go, Dayton.
But you know what? It's he never complained. His agent never called JJ Piccolo or Scott Sharp or myself and wondering why he wasn't getting an opportunity. He never complained to the coaching staff. He just loves playing baseball. And as long as he had a uniform and he was getting to do what he loved to do, that's what was important to him. And he kept getting better.
So agents do call you and say, hey, how come you're not moving my player up?
Well, they will. I mean,
They probably don't say it like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's done obviously in a very professional way and in a positive way most of the time. And but you know, it's a tough job as a farm director when you're trying to manage the expectations of individual players and put it to use for the greater good of the team.
Now, Whitley doesn't load like a lot of them do. He just picks up his foot and sets it down. But a lot of them, you see that big flamingo leg kick load. Sometimes I think it takes him out of their swing, but he's very controlled.
Yeah, he is. And you know what I like to see? I like to see the barrel stay in one spot. I don't like to see it dip towards the front shoulder. I mean, and wherever he sets it, I mean, it stays, you know, kind of his hands load together, and you know, it creates a much clearer and straight line path, you know, to the ball. It gives him a better chance, as I said, to turn around a good fastball.
So he's hit 2. The Royals have hit 4 more home runs tonight. Mike Moustakas has driven in a run. You have always been a close to the vest general manager. You don't hear about a lot of leaks from the Royals organization, and yet you and I spent a lot of time on the stage at Fan Fest, and I really got the vibe from you that it was very, very unlikely that Mike Moustakas was going to be a Royal this year.
I really didn't see it coming, Ryan. You know, as I told Moose, you know, when we began to kind of just investigate whether this could be a reality or not, you know, I told him, you know, Mike, when we planned 2-3 years ago, you know, we didn't have you on this club for a variety of reasons. One, we didn't think we'd be able to afford you, and two, you know, we were looking at Chesler Cuthbert's progression and him being on our roster, an everyday third baseman, and I knew that you know, he was going to be a highly coveted player, but it didn't happen. And you know, with us not signing Haas, you know, it's going to give us a chance for Moose obviously to be in the lineup every single day, and Chesler can play some third, he can play some first, he can DH. Lucas Duda will play some first, he'll DH as well. There'll be enough at bats for all of them, and as you know, you can't have too many quality major league hitters on your team, and you're going to need them all over the course of 162. You hope everybody stays healthy, but it's not a reality. Guys are going to go on the DL, and it gives Ned a chance to mix and match a little bit. But Moose is in great shape. This is the best shape he's been in any spring training that we've had him over the last few years. He has a great attitude. We talked at length about just be positive and whatever is said. You're not going to let bitterness infect you for what happened. He cut me off right away, and he said, look, you don't have to worry about me. This is where I want to be all the time. I love playing in Kansas City. I love our fans, and we all know how Moose connects with the fans. And I'm looking forward to watching him play every day, as I know each and every one of us are, and we'll see what happens for the future.
Salvia is down on strikes, and that is the first out for Dyson in the bottom of the 5th inning. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think, and I'll put myself in the category of a fan. I mean, you just wonder psychologically, there's just a lot of dynamics to him coming back, which are well publicized, and we don't need to cover them. But I imagine just for you and your peace of mind, if this is about the organization moving to the next stage, the next chapter of this organization, and just making sure that you've got a guy in the right frame of mind. And the fans obviously love him coming back to Kansas City, and they can't wait to be screaming Moose all season long. But I was going to ask you that question at some point. Do you have just a personal conversation with him just to make sure you're all on the same page?
We have, yeah. We spoke several times. In fact, we'll probably speak a few more times before camp is over. Mike and Steph just had a beautiful little boy. Now that Mila and little Michael Jr. and so that's the rewarding thing about this job. You get a chance to watch these players enter your organization. You watch them meet the challenges in the minor leagues. They get to the major leagues and they meet those challenges, and then they get married and they have children. You watch them become men, and we know everything about Moose. I mean, he's been in this organization for 11 years. We've won together. We've certainly had our struggles together, and so we'll continue to work together going forward to make sure he maximizes all of his talent and continues to grow as a husband and a father and a great teammate and a wonderful member of the Royals in our community, and that's the goal.
We're 9 days away from opening day. We'll have the White Sox at home, and the Royals will hit the road to Detroit and Cleveland. Bring your jacket, Hud, for that first road trip.
Thank you for the reminder. Hey, Dayton, thinking about that, thank goodness we won't have an opening day like we did last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was a painful moment.
Yeah, it was, and one of those very tragic things that unfortunately we had to deal with. But it was a rough moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad Hud brought that up. There were some wonderful tributes for Giordano. There was one here in Surprise before the first game, and it felt like there was a lot of grieving and a lot of healing at FanFest. And then there was a tribute here, and it was just another reminder. And then there was that empty locker all spring training. Then we go to Minnesota, open the season. They did a really nice tribute for Giordano, and it was just like the dagger just goes a little deeper. And then of course we come home, and that's the best place to give him a tribute, and his mother is there, and then we find out that the two of them were having a rough time the last year, which even hurts more. Here's a mother grieving a son, and when it was all said and done, how do you think the team was affected one way or the other with his passing?
Well, I think any time that you have things that happen in your life that kind of rob you of your focus, divide your vision, take away from your concentration, it affects you in the game of baseball, especially when you're trying to compete against the best of the best. I mean, there's no way to separate yourself from it. You can't gear up once a week and forget about it like you can in some other sports. I mean, you got to do this every single day. And as we all know, baseball requires concentration. It requires focus, mental toughness. It's played with your mind as much as it is physically, if not more. So there's no doubt it had an effect, and there's no player or no general manager or no manager or coach that's going to make an excuse for that, because that's not how we're wired. But in reflection, it certainly, certainly had a toll.
I was chatting with Alex Zumwalt, who's been a great advanced scout for you for a long time, and he's been promoted to a new position in the organization. And Hud and I were talking with him during batting practice today, and he was telling us about the trip to Giordano's hometown this past offseason. You took a bunch of minor league players, and they had a clinic, and they got to see his hometown, and they all walked to his gravesite. And Alex said every single one of those kids' lives were changed the moment that they spend just staring at his gravesite.
Well, it's, as I've said before, it's the most powerful thing to happen to our organization since I've been a part of it. And we never want to forget Giordano's story. And you want to learn from it. You want to celebrate his life, but you also want to learn from some of the things that can happen. And that's a message that every minor league player needs to hear. Every young person needs to hear. We all need to be reminded. It brings out certainly some of the tragic things that can happen in life.
Base hit for Lucas Duda. Mike Moustakis will go first to third, and Duda, after a misplay in the outfield, ends up at second base.
Dayton, another thing I've noticed about Moose is that he seems to have a better appreciation on the base path. He's running like I've never seen him run before.
He looks good, I'm telling you, and he's.
He was scalding around the bases.
I've had so much fun interacting with Mike Moustakis the last 2 weeks, as much fun as I've had since I've been in this job. Just the conversations that we've had, and the relationship that we're continuing to develop, and the honest, upfront discussions and communication. It's been great.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that for you. You got a tough job, Dayton. No doubt about it. But when you get rewarded like that, anyway, watch Moose run the bases here. Check him out.
Inside part of the bag, stride foot, right
that's
foot.
proper.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in this spring training. It doesn't count. So that tells me a lot about his pride. Oh, nice play.
Chesler hits it hard, and Longoria throws him out. Another thing about him running the bases, he's 2 years removed now, that knee. And
that's a good point.
I think every player coming off of surgery, that first year, aren't they always? And that's
always
in the back of their mind, right?
That's a great point, and I think that's one of the things that Moose was dealing with last year. I mean, obviously his free agent year, wanting to have a terrific year, not wanting to get hurt. I think there's no doubt that was a part of his mindset, and it's hard to get through that mentally.
All right, let's finish with this guy. He has been some kind of impressive Jorge Soler.
He has. He's been everything we'd hoped for. Obviously, it's spring training. You want to be able to take it into the game, but you can't deny the fact that what this guy's work ethic was in the offseason, how he showed up into camp. He's happy every day, interacting with his teammates. And, one of the things that we discussed 2 days left of the season, Rene Francisco and I had him up in the office, and I said, look, we want you to have fun. We want you to be happy every day. We want to see you smile. But when it comes to when you get in that batting cage, we need you to turn it up and have a different gear. And he's had it from day one. He tracks consistently in the outfield, shagging balls live. He's committed to his defense. The other day in Chicago, he was the best player on the field by far.
Oh, without a doubt.
Everything you wanted to see, he did it.
I'm bringing this up with 2 outs, but I explained earlier in the game the comparison you made, very interesting, between Lorenzo Cain and Jorge Soler in their first year in the Royals organization.
Well, when we acquired Lorenzo, we had an outfield that was set with Alex Gordon and Milky Cabrera and Jeff Francoeur, and he had to go to AAA, and Lorenzo was really ready for the major leagues. And he was playing on a winning team in Milwaukee, and he had to go to Omaha, and he had to play in the minor leagues. He wasn't happy, but he did it. He put up numbers, and he was a better player for it. Well, the same thing happened with Jorge. When we acquired him last year, the roster really wasn't set up for him to play every day. He had to go to Omaha. he put up just gargantuous numbers in Omaha. The power numbers are spectacular, and he just didn't have a chance to play every day. But he's going to get his chance, and we're excited for his future.
And before we,
that's a fearless hack right there.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. He's totally different than he was last year in spring training. Give us an update on Art Stewart.
Talked to Art 2 days ago. He's actually going in for a procedure this Thursday for his knees, and we got our fingers crossed, and our prayers are with Art that he can get back out here. I doubt he's holding out hope that he can get here, at least see some minor league stuff, but probably not going to happen. And hopefully we'll have him opening day or sometime in April.
We're thinking about you, Art.
Yep.
Get well, buddy.
Dayton, thank you. It's great having you.
Right.
Thanks for always answering all
our
our questions.
Thanks. Okay.
Opening day is 9 days from today. The Royals will be at Kauffman Stadium taking on the Chicago White Sox. So far, so good here tonight. The Royals have hit 4 home runs. Whit Merrifield has 2. The Royals have pitched well. Ian Kennedy gave up 1 run in his 4 innings. And the Royals lead 6-1 to the top of the 6th inning. And this is veteran Ricky Nolasco. And the Royals just picked up last week. He pitched last season with the Angels. We saw a lot of him recently when he was with Minnesota, signing a long-term contract, but he finished that contract with the Angels.
And he'll throw you everything but the kitchen sink. Veteran like him. 12 years in the big leagues. Long teams.
And he'll get Hunter Pence, Nick Hundley, and Austin Jackson. Popped him up. Escobar takes charge, and there is one down. Speaking of Ian Kennedy, he's kind enough to join us down in the Royals dugout. The numbers look good, Ian. How'd you feel out there tonight?
Felt okay. Wasn't happy with how my curveball was going or my changeup, but fastball felt good, slider felt good. So that was the second time I threw it this spring.
Okay, now you spent most of your career pitching in Arizona during spring training. So, and we talked to Ned earlier, and he was talking about how pitches just don't bite and move here like they will be when you're pitching against the White Sox. So if it wasn't working the way you wanted tonight, I mean, is there an Arizona equation that you factor into all that?
No, not until you said it.
Did it make you feel better?
Maybe. No, it's just, like pitching here during spring training, you got some of the elements like the thin air. Sometimes we have the wind blowing. You saw some ground ball choppers that bounce. It was about as high as they did far. It's just kind of part of spring training that we get in Arizona. I'll take the weather, though.
Oh, today was a pristine day here.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian, pitching healthy compared to pitching not healthy last year, I mean, what a big difference it's got to feel for you. But going through last season, wouldn't you like to have taken a couple of steps back and maybe shut it down and get well?
Yeah, there was a couple times where I was thinking that one time where I came back from my injury. Nice play. With my leg, my groin, hamstring, whatever we want to call it. I wish I would have taken a little bit more time. But as a competitor, I mean, you probably know this, so you want to get back out there, you want to help your team, and you feel like you're good, and then when you have a couple of outings, and I battled through that, and I think it got to me at the end of the year. It was kind of up and down right after I came off the DL. Went through a stretch where I threw well, and then at the end of the year, there's probably some mechanic issues that got to me. Probably wasn't using my legs as much, and that's usually what it comes down to. It's like my legs feel good right now. My arm feels good, but usually if I take care of my legs and listen to the training staff a little bit, do some of the smart stuff, and try to stay on the field all 30+ starts and healthy wise,
And it sounded like it affected your changeup more than anything else.
Absolutely. That was one of the pitches when I would come off the DL, I felt like I didn't have it. Every time I threw it, I felt that same sensation I did when I heard it. I still would throw it. It just didn't make it any worse. And that was one of the things I kept asking, is like, is it going to make it worse? And it didn't. It kept coming back, and it kept bouncing back a little bit better every time. But yeah, kind of took it away, and probably that's what I was talking about, those mechanic adjustments that I was trying to do without getting hurt every time I threw that pitch. The fastball, it felt fine. Fastball I did okay with. Curveball is fine. You can kind of get away with all that. But I think with the changeup, you just you try to stay through it. You try to hold on to it a little bit longer, and that's what I think I did. I think that's what every single time I felt that little, I don't know, it was like a little zing that my nerves reminding me that everything's not right.
Did you ever feel like the league picked up on your changeup was not what it normally was?
I think I went through a stretch right after when I was throwing well that it actually was okay, but I think I was just throwing it less. I was throwing my curveball more. And I mean, like I've always used my changeup as kind of my second best pitch. And there's some nights where your curveball is your best pitch, and you go with that. But I was predominantly going with my curveball, and then you kind of just lose it if you don't still keep throwing it. I don't know what the numbers were against it, but yeah, it just wasn't as effective. I didn't have the same bite. I didn't have the same spin rate on it,
Ian, you got to be pretty pumped up about your other starting buddies and how they performed this spring. The veterans, some of them are young. Tell me who's impressed you the most, your other starters?
Shoot. There's a couple. I could just Carnsey coming back from the surgery. He looks really good. He looks better than he did before he had the rib taken out. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Doc went in there and loosened things up. His two-seamer is great. His changeup's unbelievable, but he still has the same great four-seamer and curveball which he had before. And Junie's been throwing great, which is good to see. Duff's always going to do well, and I'm not too worried about those two, him and Jason. But it's been fun. This whole camp had a lot of young guys, had a lot of competition. That some of the trades we made, we had a lot of depth in that starting position. So it's been fun. I think some guys are getting sent down, but I think you're going to see some of these guys later on.
How's baby Isaac doing?
He's good. He's huge. He's really big. He hasn't skipped a meal. He keeps growing, but he's been a pretty awesome baby so far.
Now you have 5 kids, and you and Allie accomplished that in how many years? 5 kids?
Nora's going to be 7 in April, so we'll say 7.
5 kids. Well, he was born before she was 7, so 5 kids in 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got 4 older sisters.
Yeah, he has no chance. No chance to get a...
Either that or he's got a great chance.
I say he has a lot of girls to choose from and their friends.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, man.
But we always joke around that he's not going to have a chance to have a date.
Because of all those protective sisters?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, man. Jackson steals second base with 2 down. And that happened at the end of the season last year.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy time. Getting a text message at 3 in the morning and buying a plane ticket and going seeing him get born, just born, I guess, on FaceTime, but they're going to see him and meet a little baby boy, and then come back the next day to pitch. It was kind of crazy. So it was it's been a fun off season. This whole winter has been cool. That I like it, just being home, being a dad, helping that Allison, and just being with the kids.
And a full-time Kansas City at that.
Yeah.
Ian, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Okay. Ian Kennedy giving up just 1 run in 4 innings tonight. The Royals lead 6-1 to the bottom of the 6th. Escobar have also homered. That is Kelby Tomlinson. He is the Giants' new third baseman. And in left field, I believe that is Gorkys Hernandez. And the Giants also have a new first baseman is Jerry Sands. So Hernandez is in left, Tomlinson is at third, and Sands is at first. Fouled away by Alex Gordon. 1 ball, 1 strike. He is facing Julian Fernandez. Alex struck out swinging in the 2nd inning, and then looking in the 4th, both against starter Derek Holland. And now breaking balls in for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Julian Fernandez, he's a Rule 5 pickup for the Giants. Big arm. Those hard fastball, curveball, changeup. Played in low A ball all last year. What they like.
Yeah, the Royals have a couple of Rule 5 guys in camp this year, and typically you're getting a guy who hasn't had much experience above A ball.
Yeah, you wonder, how do they go about that? How do they pick a guy like that? Well, mainly stuff. I mean, if a guy throws really hard, you're counting on him to get some easy strikeouts.
You can get the exclusive Salvador Perez bobblehead with the purchase of any season ticket package. Visit Royals.com/STM for details. The Royals 2 Rule 5 guys. Brad Keller, he pitched at Double-A last year, and Bert Smith has big league experience. But most of them are like Julian Fernandez. Guys are trying to make the jump from A ball to the big leagues.
Keller might pitch tonight. Let's see.
1-1 on Eske. He's hit 1 of the 4 home runs. 2-1. Derek Holland went the first 4. He gave up 3, and then Sam Dyson came on in the 5th inning. He recorded 1 out, and he allowed 3. Three and 1.
That was outstanding, man. We've had some great interviews tonight, Ned. Dayton was fabulous.
Very fortunate in our position to not only have a general manager who's accessible and you can ask him anything.
Yeah, and you know what? He's going to be right up front. He's got integrity. He's not afraid to stand up, talk about it.
I learned very early after he became general manager and we started doing the weekly show on the radio that I was just wasting time with him saying, can I ask you about this? Can I ask you about that? Because there was never a, I don't want to talk about that. Or finally, before our interview now, I said, here's what I want to talk about, because I know that he's going to answer everything. I mean, there are no secrets. And Dayton has always had the approach, look, if people are wondering about this, then we should answer that question.
It's awesome.
I mean, it's a luxury that we have, because there are a lot of people in our business, HUD, that have, you know, a general manager or a manager where, you know, you kind of have to tiptoe into the interview and ask, can I ask you this? Can I ask you that? And we get a lot of great feedback from the fans on Sundays with Dayton, because they know they're going to get straight answers. And we got a lot of those again tonight. John Jay slides in with a double. That gets Escobar over to third. That's the second time that John Jay has been on tonight. He walked and scored last inning. And now two runners in scoring position with 1 out.
Turned on a nice heater. Yeah, that's fastball up, middle in. Showing some quick bat there. Escobar running well.
And now a trip to the mound. Kurt Young, who spent a lot of time as the Oakland A's pitching coach, replacing Dave Righetti this year, who had been the Giants pitching coach for 18 years. You mentioned a lot of coaching changes after the 98 loss season last year.
Yeah. Kurt's, heck, you love a veteran pitching coach like him.
So 2 runners in scoring position for Witt, who has 3 hits. This was a single. He later stole a base and scored in the first inning. Mike Moustakas got him to the plate, and then a home run in the 3rd, and another home run in the 5th.
Look at Whitley putting on a clinic. Outstanding. You know what? He did all the damage after he got his uniform dirty. A lousy bleeder single he got before he got dirty, and then he stole the base, and that got him in the game. It's just my opinion.
Ooh. I remember reading a story about you when you were a player.
Well, come on.
And yeah, my career has been long enough to go back to when you were playing.
Don't bring me up when you're talking about Whitley.
But I remember reading about that when you found out your career was over, that you said you were going to open up some scabs and rub some dirt on those so that you'd always have dirt in your blood even when your career was over. Is that true?
Yep. You know what? I still have some of Shea Stadium in my knee. Matter of fact, you know, I mean, it's scarred. You know, there's still some dirt in there. But look, Rhino, there's no replacement for playing the game, all right? Especially when you rode the pine for 9 like me. Whenever they called your name, you had to go. I mean, go hard. Why not? Because you never know about tomorrow.
Here's a little behind the scenes for you folks. This is what we have every night.
Now look,
we never know exactly what body part HUD is going to expose to us in the booth. Thankfully tonight it's his right knee.
It's a little gunky, but you know what though?
So Shea Stadium is in that knee?
It is in the warning track. Kevin McReynolds hit me a ball in the sun. It's a day game. It's the only time I played in a day game on Sunday. And I circled the wagons and crashed in the warning track. Made the catch, but man, I'll never forget that. I had warning track in there and it wouldn't come out. And so it's still stuck in there. You can still see some dirt in here. You see that dirt in there? See the lines? Those lines, that's a long time ago, Rhino.
I don't see anything.
Oh, come on.
It's a heck of a story, though. Yeah.
No, you know what? You need to get some
We need
glasses.
to. We know what we need to do. We need to cut that open and pull some of that out.
Okay.
Let's get like CSI on this.
I'll do it.
And I want to know if that's really Shea Stadium.
It's beautiful. It's not there anymore, though, Shea Stadium.
No, it's not. So it'd be kind of hard to. How would we know if it's Shea Stadium?
But the new ballpark is right there close.
Yeah.
So they might get.
I remember.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun in that ballpark a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember reading that about you, that you were going to pick some scabs and rub some dirt on there. And
You know what? I just miss it now. I hated leaving freckles on the diamond, but you know, if I'm going to take any of my freckles off, they're going to be on the diamond. Oh, Whitley. Fernandez got to feel pretty good about striking out the best hitter in the ballpark tonight. Caught him looking.
is there a worse feeling for a hitter than taking a called third strike on a fastball down the middle?
I don't think so. Let's see where the runners.
But he's had a full night already.
Yeah, 2 runners in scoring position. That's the worst. But he didn't want to go. But he's counting on Ashy here to pick him up.
Mike Moustakas had 2 hits and an RBI tonight. A couple of singles to center field, and now the former Cornhusker, Cody Ashe, Missouri native. One ball and 1 strike. From the University of Nebraska to the Phillies. And Cody played in the big leagues for parts of 2013, 14, 15, and 16 with the Phillies, and then played in 19 games with the White Sox last year. He spent most of last season at AAA Charlotte. Two and 1. That was a swing and a miss. Escobar took a few steps down the line and decided to hold.
Didn't that sound like it was a
It
foul
sounded to
ball?
me like a foul ball, but that's usually the catcher is the one who can tell whether it's a foul ball or not, and Hundley immediately went to go chase that ball down. That's a foul ball, but look at the way the catcher reacted. I mean,
Yeah, did you
he's
hear it?
right there.
We could hear it. Well, Escobar, he knew he wasn't coming. Ashley wants a clean single, knock them both in there.
3 and 2.
2 out knock. Salvi's on deck.
Fernandez takes it himself, 1 unassisted, and the Royals strand 2 in the 6th inning. 6-1 KC to the 7th. has allowed just 1 run, 5 hits in the first 6 innings. There's Kelvin's numbers from last year in his first season as Royals closer. And he looks a bit trimmed down this year.
He does.
Spring.
And you know what? We've all watched Kelvin. We've watched him evolve. I mean, he has always had the best stuff you've ever seen from a closer. But talking with Kyle Eldred, he said that Kelvin is one of the smartest pitchers he's ever been with. He knows how to make his own adjustments, what he's been doing, and really, he won't be surprised if he closed or if he set up. Either way. So it doesn't matter as long as he's productive for the team.
Drew Butera takes over for Salvador Perez. Cody Ashe stays in the game at third. And here's Andres Blanco taking one right down the middle. Blanco scored the Giants run in the 5th inning. He led off that inning, as he does here in the 7th, and scored on a ground out from Brandon Belt. .96 with that fastball. He was hurt more with his secondary pitches last year.
I agree.
Change up. 2 balls and 1 strike. And it seemed like the second half of the season, he just went back to being the 8th inning Kelvin Herrera, or the 7th inning Kelvin Herrera the year before that, where he just attacked the hitters. It's a fair ball, and Duda circles around, takes care of Blanco. 1 away. We'll have our final telecast from Arizona tomorrow. We'll be over in Goodyear. The Royals will be taking on the Indians. Jason Hamill will pitch for the Royals. Carlos Carrasco will start for the Tribe.
We'll see that team a lot this year, that's for sure.
This is Josh Rutledge with 1 out.
Drew must have his backup chest protector on. I've never seen a big league catcher at this level on TV with one that's got so many scars on it. That's the backfield protector. That's where they go and they work on blocking balls and stuff. Must be. Look at that. I gotta ask you about that.
Looks like someone was taking target practice.
Yeah.
Or it needs a new paint job.
He was splattered with a paintball or 2. I like it. We talked about hard ball playing. That's good. I like that. He's been blocking balls. That's not his A protector, though, I can tell you that.
Two and 2.
Oh, watch out. Hey, now. What's that? Catcher looks pretty stiff.
Strong legs. It's hard to hold that position. You try and hold that position for as long as that little guy has.
You're right.
.95 miles an hour. Down goes Josh Rutledge, and they're 2 away.
Nice to have a power arm like his. Man, oh man, just rear back and fire it. Even when you know it's coming, you still can't hit it.
Duggar grounds it out to Duda.
No problem.
3 up, 3 down. 10-pitch 7th inning for Herrera. Stretch time in Surprise, and the Royals lead 6-1. in 7 innings. They have hit 4 home runs. And this is Ryan Halstead over from Giants minor league camp. Royals scored 3 runs against Giants starter Derek Holland in 4 innings. They got 3 more against Sam Dyson, who recorded just 1 out in the 5th. And Halstead will get Drew Butera, Lucas Duda, and Chesler Cuthbert. The new catcher is Matt Wynn, also a Giants minor leaguer. Drew Butera bats for the first time. Salvador Perez hit one of the 4 home runs. He homered to left field in the 3rd inning. He was 1 for 3. Do you remember the first time you were called over from minor league camp and got to play in a big league game? You were not in big league camp. You were in minor league camp.
Yeah.
But they called you over to play in a big league game.
Heck, the thing I remember most is the big league per diem I got for that one day. Shoot, that was like, wow, one day in the big leagues and I got paid more than a month of spring training in the minors. It was sweet. And then, you know, you got a little nervous. You rode over on a bus with 2 of your other buddies. But I saw this kid in the Giant locker room. This kid, Halstead, and he's a big young man. He looked like a offensive lineman. He's huge. So, but anyway, you're pumped. It's a wonderful opportunity for you.
Strike to Lucas Duda, who is 1 for 3 with a 5th inning single.
Nothing replaces an envelope full of cash when you're in your uniform and you just put it in your pants, in your uniform pant pocket. It's beautiful. Paid for.
So you played with that cash in your back pocket?
Absolutely.
You played that spring training game with a wad of cash in your back pocket.
Put it in my pocket and loved it every minute of it. Couldn't wait. That way I knew where it was. I didn't want nobody to steal it. And that 800 bucks I made for eating that June bug in St. Louis, I kept that cash in my pocket that whole game. Now I was riding a Pine for 9, so I didn't have no action, but it wasn't going nowhere. Good swing. He just missed that.
That's Hernandez, who is shifted over from left field.
Big man, he might go 260.
Two down to Chesler Cuthbert. Didn't mean to do it. Chesler singled in the 2nd inning. He is grounded to 3rd twice. The 2nd required a good play at 3rd by Longoria, who has since departed. 0-2. Ripped to center field. Hernandez is back, and that is home run number 5 for the Royals tonight. That might have been the loudest of the 5.
That was pretty loud, partner. There's that smile. Halstead tried to sneak a piece of cheese by Chesler, and he wouldn't going for it. Oh, pass out some earplugs. Dead center. Whew. You know, those lousy singles up the middle feel good, but when you hit a home run dead center field, that's really feeling good. Bring a smile to your face.
That was in on the fist, and Soler still got it to the warning track. That's right. Merrifield 2, Perez and Escobar 1, and now Chesler Cuthbert with a home run in the 7th inning. Run in 7 innings. This is Brad Keller, who pitched in Double-A last year at Jackson and is one of the 2 Rule 5 pitchers in camp, and he'll get the 8th inning.
Okay. See what the 6'5", 230-pound Brad Keller can show you tonight. Firm fastball. 90 to 97. 4-seam, 2-seamer. Slider, changeup. High 3/4 arm slot. Base hit.
Royals have made a lot of defensive changes. That was Jerry Sands, his first at bat of the night. That's Ryan O'Hearn, who's been impressive this spring, standing next to Sands over at first base. Ryan Goins is at second base. The all Ryan right side of the infield. That is Humberto Arteaga at short. Ball 1 to Kelby Tomlinson. It's Cody Ashe, who is at third base. Late on a fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Billy Burns is in left field. Tyler Collins has taken over in center. And Michael Saunders is in right. One and two.
Man, you know what? When you're the second wave of players that come in with a week to go in camp, you know, a lot of those guys are thinking about what I'm going to do. You know, what my chances of making the team aren't that great. I mean, well, you know, there's a lot of stress that goes on with these guys. They're wondering what their summer's going to be like, where they're going to be. And some of them, like Saunders, he's not a minor league player. Burns is not either. These guys are big league players, but there's just not a lot of room. There's only 25 spots on the roster. Tough time. Don't like to be around the clubhouse at all during this time. Brings back bad memories. Just just the anxiety. You cut it with a knife and you walk in the clubhouse. Guys are very sensitive about touch, especially when they're sitting at their locker. Anybody that comes up and puts their hand on their shoulder, a little tap, and they're like, oh, I hope that's not the coach. Because the coach will come around and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, the manager wants to see you. So you're a little sensitive to the touch, especially if you're on the bubble. I hope it doesn't happen.
Are you still sensitive to the touch?
Not as much as I used to be. Now, if it was you, I'd be a little sensitive. But look, you just slapped me on the back. That's okay. But I've gotten over it, and I'm thankful. I'm really, really happy I'm not in that place anymore, because I was a bubble guy for a long time. 26th, 25th, 26th, 27th man. Till finally, you know what? After a while, you just break through. You say, hey, look, I have got to produce, and I've got to show something, and I'm going to stay. Fight to stay. And depends on what your motivator is. My motivator was my wife. I was just getting married. Heck, and I knew she was used to nice things, and I looked back at my bank account. I had enough money for a couple of months' rent, and I went, you better do something, Hud. You got nothing. So that motivated me. Then when I got there and got established, my kids that I didn't have motivated me. I was like, you know what?
Your kids that you didn't have?
Right. I knew that I wanted kids someday.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
so the kids that you had that you did not have earlier in your career.
Right.
Okay,
because I was
you.
trying to become a ball player, but I was late. I was in my mid-30s, and my career was almost over when Jennifer married me. Then I said, man, I got to get that 10 years in so I can get a full pension. So it just depends on what motivates you. But I know if you make the roster out of camp, your insurance is paid for the whole year. So that's huge for a lot of guys.
Except to appear in one game, right?
That's it.
Or just be called up.
Yeah.
And you get insurance for the whole year, right?
Right.
Major League insurance.
I believe that's still correct. That's big there for your family.
1-2 on Gorkys Hernandez. Through a wide open right side. Sands will stop at second base. First and second with one out. Reminisce on 50 seasons of Royals baseball with the 50th season celebration pack. This package is loaded with gate giveaways, alumni appearances, and special celebrations at Kauffman Stadium all season long. Visit Royals.com/celebrate for details. Season number 50 for the Royals. This is Matt Wynn, Giants catcher. Played at Class A San Jose last year. One and one.
They like Brad Keller. Not just they like his live arm, but they like his character. Good character guy. Not surprising. Dayton, before he brings players in, he does a thorough background check on them, see what kind of character they have. Look at him. Big, that's what you like. Big, strong pitchers that are durable. They like the way he repeats his delivery. And when you hear a pitching coach and a manager say, he repeats his delivery, that means that you're going to stay away from injury. Sometimes you'll fly open one way and then maybe you'll do it another way. Then if you're erratic with your motion and you're not able to repeat your delivery, not only are you wild in the strike zone, but you could injure yourself. Okay, let's check him out. Real smooth. That's a nice break. Good leg kick. Brings it up high. Comes right out over the top. High 3/4, they call that. Good finish. Let's see it again here. Same thing. There's a breaking ball. Same delivery. And he got it. Nice yacker. Great. This kid, you know, they like him. He's got a chance to make the team. This is a good follow through. Well balanced. And then here it is right over the top. After setting him up with a few fastballs, he finishes him off. Ah, he had no chance. The hitter. He's got a little changeup grip there he's holding.
Now a strike on Luigi Rodriguez, who is hitting for Austin Jackson in the DH spot. One and one. I don't think there was ever a time where you didn't want a pitcher to repeat his delivery, but that seems to be something that comes up a lot nowadays. You hear a lot of repeating their delivery.
That makes perfect sense. But if you watch him, he's been the same every time. You see how smooth he is. He's not, his right leg is not swinging over. He's not off balance when he lets go of the ball. He's got a real smooth delivery that's right over the top.
I've heard you talk about how when you played, you were never told to try and keep your hands inside the ball.
Yeah.
Even though that's good mechanics for hitting. Oh. It's just the way it's articulated.
Yeah. He blew that right by him.
And he ends up striking out the side, working around a couple of singles.
To go, Brad Keller. Finish him.
Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And we are in Surprise, Arizona with the Royals leading 7-1. The Royals have hit 5 home runs tonight. And this is Jose Dominguez, who pitched with the Padres a couple of years ago. And the Royals will have Gordon, or rather Collins, Arteaga, and Burns coming up. Up and away, ball 1 on Tyler Collins. 193 with the Tigers last year. It's been a big chunk of the season in AAA. He is hitting .313 here in Arizona, and he will add to that with a leadoff single.
Collins is a nice player. He's got some pop, plays with a lot of fire, hustles. He'll take that knock. A short, compact swing. We watched him a little bit with the Tigers the last couple of seasons. Filled in nicely, a little center, a little left.
Alberto Arteaga takes a fastball for a strike. Alcides Escobar started at shortstop tonight. He hit one of the 5 home runs. Whit Merrifield hit 2. And then Salvador Perez, Alcides Escobar, and Chesler Cuthbert also went deep tonight. Fastball came in at 97.
Ooh, man. Turn it up.
Off of Dominguez. And he'll still get the out at first base. Collins moves up to second, 1 down.
Okay, that's what you do to a hard hitter. You just keep your swing short. Hit him on the left shin, looked like. Was able to recover and make the out. Short, compact strike. Looks like caught some of it, but no love for him. Nobody coming out and checking on him. I bet if he was one of their guys that's going to make the team, that they'd have been out there checking him. There's another way you'll find out if you're not going to make the team or not. It's tough business, man.
So
it really is.
You've got the number you're assigned to in spring training.
Okay, that's a sign.
Okay. You're sensitive to touch.
Gap.
Right.
Stay away from the tap shoulder.
And then if you get drilled by a line drive and the trainer doesn't even get off the bench, that is the holy trinity of you're headed to the minor leagues.
It's a tough business, Rhino. Yep. Well, we're trying to teach. You know, there's still some folks up in Kansas City. But spring training is a little bit different ball game. We got a nice delivery. Power arm. That's 96 there.
Billy Burns is on with a walk.
Second baseman number 1, Ryan Goins.
So 2 on for Ryan Goins, who is a non-roster player, but HUD, they gave him number 1. And he's hitting .387 this spring. This is what he did with the Blue Jays last year.
That's impressive right there. 62 ribbies. That's some big hits there. Not a high average, but they knew that he could play. And it's a great sign by the Royals. It's an excellent sign.
He played 87 games at shortstop. And so anytime that's one of the positions that you can play makes you more valuable. 56 games at second base, and he played 8 games at third base last year for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, just 4 errors, by the way. Four at shortstop anyway. He's very reliable. He's looked good in spring. I watched him take infield today for the first time, and it was just awesome how they looked. Everybody looked crisp and sharp. And it's going to be a good year. But whenever you get a guy from the left side like that who's got experience, You're going to keep him.
And he gets another base hit, but it's off the umpire. And because the umpire was positioned in front of the fielders, it's a dead ball.
Cost Goins an extra stake. I don't think he really cares too much about his spring training RBI, but oh, scalded. Woohoo! Get him off the heel. Ouch. Ball moves quick down there. Especially when you're in there, in like he is. Umpires, he's in on the grass, inside the grass 2-3 feet. Cross up.
And nobody covering at home plate. Collins scores, and the Royals lead 8-1. Burns goes to third. Goins is up to second.
So now the umpires, you know, with the mound visits this year, Ryan, that the catcher went to the mound because they had a cross up. Now the umpire's going to not count that because obviously there was a cross up there. But then Kurt Young comes back out here against them. They won't be charged. Just one mound visit.
So home plate umpire Nick Lentz is keeping track, and that's the new signal now, that reminding everyone that is visit number 4. There are only 6 allowed for the first 9 innings, and then each team is allowed another mound visit in extra innings. All right, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Why, even though it's been part of the fabric of baseball forever, why is the pitcher the only one on the field who is allowed in-game coaching? Like, why do we have mound visits at all? I mean, why can't the catching coach for the Giants come out and talk to their catcher right now about being crossed up? If a fielder makes 2 errors in 1 inning, why can't the infield coach go out and talk to the infielder? Why can't the hitting coach go and talk to the hitter if the count is 0-2? I've always felt like, I mean, why don't we get rid of mound visits altogether, except if you're going to make a pitching change, or, you know, like the other sports, if you're going to stop the game, and there's a lot of inaction in a baseball game. And when I say inaction, other than the pitcher and catcher playing catch before the ball's put in play, but there's enough inaction in a game where in between pitches you could yell something from the dugout, or you could certainly come up with some sort of elaborate, signs, just like, we watched Rusty Kuntz all these years setting up the outfielders in between pitches. Why not just go to a timeout system like every other sport?
Well, that's interesting, but my answer would be that the game starts and stops with the pitcher with the ball. He's 90% of the game. And so nothing happens unless he delivers the ball. So I think the importance of that position is greater than any of the other ones.
Okay, so I hear your point, but just for argument's sake, isn't that the same with football? Doesn't it start and end with the quarterback?
It does.
But if you want to go talk to the quarterback in the middle of the game, you got to burn a timeout.
You have to call time. Nice hit.
Drew Butera gets one through the left side.
Yeah.
Burns scores. Here's Goins. And the throw is cut off. The Royals have 2 more in the 8th inning, and they lead 10-1. And Bruce Bochy almost got hit as he was coming out. I mean, he had decided before the play was over that he was going to make a pitching change.
Yeah.
10-1 Royals with 1 out in the 8th inning. First and second with only 1 out for Patrick Rotolo, who pitched with Augusta last year, and he will get Ryan O'Hearn, who has hit 5 home runs this spring, and he's hitting .433. Good fastball at the knees for strike 1.
You think Ruotolo knows about O'Hearn right now? What kind of spring he's had? I would say no. So be careful. You give him anything down the middle. Watch out.
Davis waits for it in left. The runners tag and hold.
Pretty nice swing.
So we were interrupted by a pitching change.
We were.
And that it's not an anti-pitcher slant on my part, but in baseball's attempt to speed things up, and now they're limiting mound visits, it's just got me thinking, you know, why mound visits at all?
I think the field manager wants to get inside of the pitcher's head a little bit and have a little conversation about the next pitch, because if he's in a bad groove and he keeps going in a bad groove, the next pitch could be hit out of the park and lose the game, and the manager loses his job. It's pretty serious business. But you're right when it comes compared to football. I mean,
or basketball,
but you know,
or hockey.
But football, they have speakers in their helmets now. They can talk to him. They give him the plays and everything. So the guy can go, "What are you thinking about?" You know, he gets in his helmet. He could rag him. And if you're a position player and you miss a couple balls and they stop the game and the manager goes out there,
that's what I'm saying,
and yells at the player, that's embarrassing. I don't know if the player could handle that.
I mean, it's something that we're just used to. I get it. And this is not my campaign against getting rid of mound visits, but it just got me thinking. Now, if the attempt is to speed up the tempo and time a game, which obviously it is, then clearly, you know, sometimes the bench will whistle at the second baseman and say, go to the mound, you know, just to kind of slow things down, which I've always felt bad for that infielder who's trying to think of what he's going to say as he's walking to the mound. Those are deliberate acts to slow down the game because you need to get somebody warmed up in the bullpen. So obviously they're trying to crack down on that, but I've yet to get a satisfactory answer as to why pitchers are the only ones who get in-game
counsel.
Mm-hmm. Chesler Cuthbert homer to dead center field in the 7th inning. He also has a single. He is 2 for 4, and one of his outs was hard hit. And with the runners going, that is ball 4. And the Giants have walked 3 in the inning. And they're loaded up for Michael Saunders, who is the 9th man to come up in the inning for the Royals. Saunders played in 73 games last year for the Phillies and the Blue Jays. Hard hit, but right to Blanco at second base, and that is the inning. The Royals add 3, and we head to the 9th in surprise. The Royals lead 10-1. At AAA Omaha, he was most impressive at that level. He started at Class A Burlington, and then to Lexington, and then 12 games at Omaha and pitched to a 1.88 ERA.
That's working. He's throwing the strike zone, 39 strikeouts. He's a power pitcher, 6'5", 225. Big, heavy, hard fastball. Fastball slider. Little change there, look like. Change. I was watching him warm up. I haven't had a chance to watch him pitch. He looked like he was giving the catcher the split finger. Ooh, look at that. That's a nasty pitch there. Little darting slider. It wasn't straight.
He has a heck of a story.
Yeah, some of these guys, you don't know them. I'm interested to hear about them.
I learned these details from Mark Nasser, our longtime announcer at AAA Omaha. Kevin Lennox hardly ever pitched in high school, and he ended up walking on as an outfielder in college. Collins goes into left center field. He got more attention out of high school for football, and it would make sense. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. He didn't pitch until he was 23 years old. He was pitching at a Division II school, and he pitched 10 innings. He was 23 years old. He was not drafted. He worked as an Uber driver and a personal trainer. And in the offseason, he would work out with Tom House. Remember him, the pitching guru who was in the Texas Rangers organization forever? So Tom House arranged for Kevin Lennox to get a tryout with the Rangers. 80 players signed up for the tryout. Kevin Lennox was the only one who was signed out of the 80. And they sent him to Spokane 2 years ago. And he didn't pitch bad. Low A, short season, 5.17. and was released in spring training last year. So the Royals signed him at age 25. And he started out in A-ball, and they only sent him to AAA just as an extra arm, an emergency arm. And he goes 12 games with a 1.88 ERA.
Wow, that's dealing.
It's a heck of a find.
Oh, I'll say.
So sometimes, you know, we spend all the time talking about, you know, first round picks and great trades and free agent signings.
Right.
But then there's the diamond in the rough where if somebody in the Royals organization saw Kevin Lennox's arm and gave him a chance, and he ends up in AAA and pitches the best baseball of his life. Two 2-0 on Josh Rutledge. Royals pitching has held the Giants to 1 run, 7 hits, and there's 2 outs in the 9th inning. Throws hard. He looks like he has some natural cutting action to his fastball. I wouldn't even call it a cutter. It just looks like it's just a natural action to it.
I'm seeing nothing straight.
Three and one. Rutledge is on with 2 down. Ball 4 coming in at 94 with some movement.
Left fielder number 74, Dylan Davis.
And that will count as the Royals' 2nd trip to the mound. Just in case you're scoring at home.
That's right.
Dylan Davis will bat with a runner at first, 2 down. Ian Kennedy went 4. He gave up 1 run. He struck out 5. And then Tim Hill, Ricky Nolasco, and Kelvin Herrera, Brad Keller all chipped in with 1 scoreless inning. And now Lennox pitches with 2 down in the 9th. 1-1.
I've liked the last few of these guys that have come in. I like them. They look good. Spark throwing strikes. Good stuff. Keller looked good. I don't like your chances, sir.
Two and two. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that'll do it. So Lennox is the 5th Royals reliever to turn in 1 scoreless inning. Ned Yost has to be happy with tonight. The Royals hit 5 home runs and finished with 10 runs tonight, and Royals pitchers allowed just 1 run. So that'll do it for tonight. For director Steve Kurtenbach, our producer Casey Carter, this is Ryan Lefevre for Rex Hudler. Thanks for watching. We're back on the air tomorrow night. We'll be in Goodyear. It's the Royals and the Cleveland Indians. Jason Hamill will pitch for KC. Final score tonight in Surprise. The Royals 10 and the Giants 1.